The sky was red like burning sand when the human soldier named Ryan crossed the last ridge of the forgotten desert. His suit was cracked, his lips dry, his vision blurred by the endless heat waves. For 7 days he had not seen a single soul until that moment when a flash of silver fell from the clouds. The sound shook the air and turned the sky into a sea of dust and fire. He ran toward the crater, even though his body screamed for rest. Inside the pit lay a strange figure covered in glowing fragments of metal. Her body shimmered like living light, her skin pale blue, under a layer of torn armor. She was breathing weakly, the sand melting where her blood touched. Ryan had seen many things in the war between species, but never had he seen an alien like her. The symbol on her chest told him who she was. The queen of the Serathi Empire, the one all soldiers feared. He stood frozen for a long moment. Logic said to leave her there. Orders said to destroy her, if ever found. But something in her broken gaze stopped him. She looked not like a ruler, but like someone who had lost everything. Ryan dropped to his knees and pulled her from the wreckage. The heat of her body burned his hands, but he did not let go. The desert stretched for 90 miles between them and the nearest shelter. The sun was merciless, the winds sharp as glass. Still Ryan lifted the alien queen over his shoulders and began walking. Each step sank deep into the burning ground. His armor grew heavier. His heart beat slower, yet he carried her as if guided by something beyond duty. Sometimes she whispered faint words in a language he could not understand. Sometimes her light dimmed so much he thought she had died. But when he touched her hand, she would breathe again. Ryan stopped counting the miles. He only saw the horizon and the memory of her strange eyes staring into his. Night fell and the stars rose like cold fire above them. The silence of the desert wrapped them both in a world without war, without enemies. For the first time since the invasion, Ryan felt something close to peace, though he knew that peace would not last for long. The morning sun rose like a blade of gold, cutting the horizon, and Ryan still walked through the endless waves of sand. The alien queen rested weakly against his back. Her crown cracked, her armor dim yet, her beauty untouched by the heat. Her skin glowed faintly like moonlight caught in glass. Every few steps, her hand trembled against his shoulder, and he could feel the rhythm of her heartbeat, slow but alive. Once she opened her eyes and whispered something soft, her voice almost lost in the wind. It sounded like a name or a promise, he could not tell. He only answered with a nod and kept moving. He had no water left, only the will to keep her breathing. When night came, the stars returned brighter than he had ever seen. The desert cooled, but his body shivered with exhaustion. He built a small fire, with broken ship parts and wrapped his jacket around her shoulders. She watched him for a long time, her eyes glowing faint blue, like distant suns. He felt that gaze reach deeper than words. Then she reached out, touched his face, and a faint spark of light crossed between them. It showed him flashes of her world, cities made of crystal, skies filled with silver ships. And then the moment her enemies struck her down. She had trusted no one, not even her own guards. Yet here she was saved by a stranger from the very race that had fought her people. Ryan looked away, unsure if he was seeing truth or dream. She spoke again, but this time he understood, not by words, but by feeling. Gratitude, sorrow, and something else hidden beneath both. For the first time since the crash, she smiled. When dawn came, he lifted her once more, though his legs trembled and his vision blurred. Each mile burned through his strength, but also through his fear. The queen no longer felt like a prisoner of war. She felt like hope walking beside him, even when she could not stand. On the 9th day, they reached the edge of the desert. Beyond the dunes lay the ruins of an old human outpost, half buried in dust. Ryan collapsed to his knees, the queen still in his arms. The air smelled of metal and rain. He laid her down gently, and for the first time let himself rest. The sky turned violet as evening came. The queen woke, her strength slowly returning. She stood weakly before him, the sand swirling around her feet. Her eyes glowed brighter now, her crown repaired itself with soft streams of light. Ryan watched in silence as she transformed from survivor to ruler again. Yet her gaze, when it met his, was no longer that of a queen looking at a soldier. It was of someone who had found the one heart that refused to give up on her. She stepped closer, her hand on his chest, and spoke the only human word she had learned from him during those long days: hope. Then she said something in her language, but somehow he understood. It was a vow, a promise bound by honor and life. Ryan tried to speak, but his throat burned dry. He shook his head, trying to explain that humans and her kind could never be one. But she smiled gently and placed her crown in his hands. The light from it spread around them, filling the ruins with warmth. From that night onward, legends told of the soldier who carried the alien queen across a desert of fire. Some said she became his guardian, some said his bride. Only the stars know what truly happened. But one truth remains, that in the emptiness of war, a single act of mercy can turn enemies into something greater than destiny itself.